eventually have to put that in that little boat. You can't beat the morning. So this is sea trials for this little motor right here. It's a 25 horse Evinrude 2-cylinder, 2-stroke, and it is temporarily replacing my little Mercury for this boat right here, OGP boat. And so we're going to do sea trials and see what kind of speed it has. And one thing I like about it is it lets it start. The other thing is I like the gear shift right here, forward and reverse. It's easy to operate that, so that's cool. Kill switch right there, choke right there, starter button right here. Pumps. Has a goofy whale tail on it. I'm not sure if I like it or not. And what it needs, and what I bought it for, was because it had a bad starter motor. And what I was able to do was I got the existing one to turn. I just got a screwdriver in there and twisted on it a little bit and kind of broke it free. And it doesn't spin the motor over great, but it spun it over enough to start. So I'll wait a little bit before I put the new one on because I got it started without it. What I have not done is I have not put a multimeter on the battery just yet, so I don't know whether or not it's actually charging or not. So here we are, and let me see if I can get my phone set up for the speedometer. The other thing I like about this motor is it idles. It'll sit there and idle like a lawnmower all day long. Alright, quick update. This saw came in not running. And sometimes you see stuff it's hard to believe. And you can tell it runs pretty good right now, right? This is the spark plug that came out of it. And check this out. I tried to pull the cap off. It came right off and the whole cap was melted. So, I don't know how it could get that way, but that's what it did. As far as the way it's running, look at that. That's a nice, little on the rich side color. So the saw is healthy, but it quit because that situation right there, I believe, killed the ignition. So, you can tell it's back up and running. It took about 15-20 minutes. What I did was I took the ignition off of this saw. And this saw is dead. See how much? Yeah, it's dead. I'm going to guess from the amount of play in there that what probably happened is it took out either the wrist pin or the rod bearing. And hear it on the inside? It's kind of scratchy on the inside. So something's been damaged on the inside. That don't sound good, does it? So my hunch is what you're hearing there is some bits and pieces of bearing stuck between the piston and the cylinder wall. So I'm going to declare this one dead. I need some parts off it anyway. This was the G372 that I built a while back. It went out to Matt the logger for a while, and he liked it. Came back a couple of times, little bits and pieces, but he had to tape together the top cover because it kept coming off, and then it finally blew up on him this week. So it's been out there for, I don't know, 6 months. I can't remember when we put it in his hands, but it was early this year. And I was expecting it to blow up like the last one in about 6 months. Well, if you listen to him, that may still be true, because he said he didn't use it all the time, but he really liked it when he did use it. And you can tell from the dirt and stuff, it's got a fair amount of time on it. But the bottom line is, these Chinese saws, so far, every one I've done that's been a little bit tweaked on, and I mean every one of them, there's no exceptions, the bottom ends have gone. And usually it's the main bearing and the crank. That's what comes apart. So if you're going to build one of these darn things and you really want it to make some power, you probably have to get an OEM crank for it. Even a used OEM crank is probably better than the one that came with it. So this is another day in the woods. Been doing hay for a little bit. I might show some pictures of that. But Bob's up here. We wanted to make it a 60cc day. Well, that's 65 cc's, 68 cc, somewhere in there. So that almost qualifies. It might actually get some run time today. Alright, a little strategy here. Now this is a dead ash, and they're very prone to barber chairing. And what that means is, if you cut in and the tree splits up, it bends around the hinge and that split section of the tree jumps back at you. And that's not a good thing, right? You can get hurt that way. Plus it splits the log, and if there was any log value, it gets diminished quite a bit if the trees split that way. So what I've done for years is, what I'll do is I'll do a face cut, I'll bore cut most of the way into the tree and cut about 2/3 of the hinge away, leaving just enough for me to direct the tree. And by bore cutting, it pretty much eliminates the possibility of the hinge creating a barber chair. And then do a back cut and let it fall. And when it's dead like this, is I make sure I've got good footing so I can exit away from where I think things are going to be falling. Well, I guess what didn't happen was me topping that tree with this little saw. I kind of wanted that video because taking down the branches one at a time as I'm walking through that little gully, then up the other side. What I was trying to show you was you don't do a lot of bending over. Not really. You know, the only time you're bending over is when it's like on the ground, but oftentimes the tree is not like on the ground. So even with the limbing operations, small and light sometimes is better. And with all that brush and nasty footing, the lighter the saw, the better. You know, so yeah, still on that a little bit. Working my way back, I see that one right there. It's not totally dead. And that might be a saw log. That's a long, tall tree. But then I see that one right there. That's huge. With all those different leaders come off it. That'll be one I take down tomorrow, the next day. You know, a lot of those like that, if that stays alive, that's a saw log right there. Nice and straight like that. It's probably about, I don't know, 14 inches now. Get it up around 20 inches. That's a nice log. Get rid of these things right here, which takes up both canopy and resource. It'll let things like that survive. That's what this is about. He's a big one. Good job, buddy. So I had no problem pulling that 28. No, that thing, it didn't even, I don't think I jammed it once. No, it kept going. Yeah. So this is a 65cc saw right here, pulling a 28-inch bar handily.
Punching above its weight for sure.
So what we got to do now is we got to break it down into sections I can pull out with a small tractor.
So we got to make it draggable.
Yeah. And then just leave behind the crap.
That was probably more involved than you'd want to put on the video anyway.
Yeah, I had to wedge it because it had that leader right there holding it up. So it wanted to rotate back.
Yeah.
I wanted a nice chunk that I could pull with a tractor. So we got nice chunks there that we can pull, you know, fairly easily with a small tractor.
Yep.
And then this one right here, I'm going to bust.
Yeah, we got to get the underneath one out.
Yeah.
Maybe we can't do that till you pull the other stuff.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, this is good. This is good enough. Thank you, Bob. But you know what I'm saying, with like that, this is nice wood right here. This is really nice wood. It's just a goofy shape, so they can't do much with it. But so, all right. What's next? Well, Bob wanted to eat right now, so we're a little too far from the sugar shack, so we had to innovate. figured that would be a good show. Because the whole idea on that is to see if you can get it to roll. And then have that, sometimes that'll kick in, it'll roll off, and once it does a roll, it comes off the tree. Well, say goodbye to these old gear drives. Now, I've had them both running at one time or another. It's been a while. Oh, look at this. Meat mat. This is yet another mat. Oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah, it's running over last night, but it's
set up.
I don't think it's the piston, I think it's the recoil.
Oh, could be. Probably not the recoil. One thing that does happen on these, and I've had it before, is bolts back out behind the flywheel.
That was another thing he suggested. Take it off, see if you can turn it by hand.
Yeah.
But I had it turning over last night and it fired.
Oh, cool. Well, there they are.
It's leaking. The fuel tank's leaking right
Oh, it
here
don't
at this
matter.
gasket.
It don't matter.
So, 24-inch bar.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Matt.
Just Matt. It's kind of like that movie, Tim. I'm just Tim.
Yep.
So they're
No
complete.
bars for these.
I think I can dig some up if you want one. The old Mac has found a new home. Somebody actually cares about it. It oils, it runs. It's got the typical Mac carburetor, which never stays the same.